Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky. We bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might catch some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff, and welcome back to Season 2. We just had a very long, week-long hiatus between Season 1 and Season 2, and we're both very well-rested. What did you do, anything, over the hiatus, George? Anything exciting?
Nope, nothing. Nothing at all.
Really? Nothing exciting happening? Nothing comes to mind whatsoever?
Nope, not a thing.
Nothing? You really can't think of one thing?
Nope.
All right. Well, yeah, me either. Anyway, so for those of you out in California, I'll be out at Disneyland in a couple of weeks. January 27th through February 3rd, I'll be out there promoting. It's kind of a cute story. Rolly and I are doing a couple signings. So if you're around, go to our Facebook page and let me know, or go to the Rolly Crump Facebook page, facebook.com/RollyCrump, or it's kindofacutestory.com to check out where the signings are, because I would love to see you there. George, you going to go?
Wait a minute. Now, Disneyland, that's the West Coast Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah, it came after Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, guys. We're going to get a lot of hate mail for that. You know that, right?
Email up that one.
We're going to get like 1,000 messages from people going, "What do you mean?
It'll sound just like...
That's not where it came from first."
Who brought Chris Hardwick on from The Nerdist?
Was that it did sound like a Chris Hardwick
It did
thing.
sound just like him. Wow.
Sorry for taking your impression, Chris Hardwick. Why don't we just do the history now?
We just blew our Season 2 budget with that. Wow.
Sorry, guys.
It's time for Disney History.
The Matterhorn bobsleds, or simply known as the Matterhorn, is an attraction composed of two intertwining steel roller coasters which opened in 1959 at Disneyland. It was modeled after the Matterhorn, which is an actual mountain in the Swiss Alps, for those of you who don't know. It was also the first tubular steel continuous track roller coaster ever constructed, and it's located on the border between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, and it employs forced perspective to seem bigger on the outside. Huh? Bigger on the outside? You see what I did there? I switched it up. Anyway, so throughout the day, climbers dressed in Swiss climbing mountain garb can be seen scaling to the peak.
Wow, not me. During the construction of the park, dirt from the excavation of Sleeping Beauty's castle's moat was piled in an area between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. And when the park opened, the area was dubbed Holiday Hill, and later Lookout Mountain. It was improvised with benches and pathways to encourage its use as an actual picnic area. I mean, weird. So after the opening of the Disneyland Skyway in 1956, Walt Disney conceived the idea of a toboggan ride on the mountain with real snow, but the logistics of it caused objections by Disneyland construction chief Joe Fowler, who normally didn't object to much. But by now, instead of picnicking, the hill had come to be used primarily as nighttime lovers' lane.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, much to Disney's dismay, I guess people were taking the cars from the Autopia over there. Well, anyway, the new wild mouse-style roller coasters got the attention of Disneyland executives, and they began to consider applying this new technology to the creation of a toboggan-themed coaster ride on an artificial mountain at the site. The structure would also act as like a decorative overlay to camouflage the central pylon of the Skyway.
Now, use of the Matterhorn both in style and name grew from Disney's extended vacation in Switzerland while filming the film Third Man on the Mountain, which is awesome. If you guys haven't seen it, you should probably check it out. He was impressed by the real beauty of the real Matterhorn and merged the toboggan ride concept with the thoughts of a bobsled coaster ride that would run around and throughout the structure. Now, if you read Bob Gurr's book, Design Just for Fun, you know that he created the two intertwining tracks by sitting down and just drawing them over and over again until they made sense using the laws of physics and their downward motion to keep them going. The ride was built by Arrow Development and WED Imagineering, and it was the first tubular steel roller coaster in the world, like I said earlier. It consisted of wood and steel infrastructure, and it was surrounded by man-made rock. And it opened on June 14th, 1959 as part of the new Tomorrowland.
Yep. And trees could be seen on its side, and by making the trees at the higher altitude smaller, the Imagineers used forced perspective, we hear that a lot, to augment the mountain's height. Waterfalls cascaded down its side and frequently sprayed riders. It wasn't too bad. And inside was a large open space where the bobsleds traveled. And the peak had numerous holes in its exterior through which the bobsleds exited and re-entered the mountain. The Skyway passed through the center of the mountain via a pair of holes on the Fantasyland and Tomorrowland sides, and Skyway riders could see down into the Matterhorn's interior as they glided through.
In the early 1970s, the ride was officially made part of Fantasyland, and then in 1978, it received a major refurbishment. The Imagineers' biggest task was to break up the hollow interior space into a number of small icy caves and tunnels with a far more convincing theming. So some of the holes in the mountain's skin were filled in as well. Another major addition during this refurbishment was the Abominable Snowman, affectionately named Harold by the Imagineers. Now, the creature exists as 3 similar audio animatronic figures that roar at the bobsledders. The first is visible from both tracks at the point where they divide to take separate paths, and then the other 2 are visible only from their respective tracks. Each track also features a pair of red eyes that glow in the dark shortly after the lift hill, while a roar is heard in the background, so he kind of makes his presence known throughout the entire ride. The roars can also be heard from the ground level as well, and it's kind of freaky at night when you're walking past and you hear it. And the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa, what the heck? And the bobsleds themselves, they were changed from their original flat, luge-like, multicolored 2 seats to a rounder white cars decorated with orange and red stripes. They changed from single car to 2 cars connected to one another to form a train to get more riders on at the same time.
And it was actually the same cars that were done in Space Mountain at Walt Disney World.
Yes, they were.
Yep. So following the closure of the Skyway in 1994, sad I remember seeing it, they used a lot of stucco to fill those holes. A lot of, the holes through which the Skyway buckets had traveled were partially filled in, and the holes in the Tomorrowland face remained mostly intact, and a grotto filled with glimmering crystals was installed nearby. There was an abandoned crate labeled Wells Expedition, which was added as a tribute to Frank Wells, who had died earlier that year. The Matterhorn went under a major refurbishment again in 2012. Aside from a massive paint job, the vehicles were changed to single-seaters instead of lap seating.
The Matterhorn implies only one lift hill, and the bobsleds ascend parallel to each other at the start of the ride, and they climbing past walls featuring snow-like effects. I think they're animated now. I'm not 100%.
But it's not Snope, right?
It's not Snope.
Good.
But it's also not real, so you still can't eat it.
It is. Okay.
Regardless. The top of the lift hill constitutes the highest point of the ride itself, even though the mountain itself it continues upward for another couple of stories. The rest of the ride is actually unpowered, and you just use gravity to wind your way around the Matterhorn's many caverns and passageways.
The splashdown pools at the end of the track serve dual purposes. Not only do they cool off the braking fins mounted on the underside of the bobsleds, but the impact into the water itself acts as a braking mechanism. And because of their constant exposure to water, the fiberglass bodies are regularly waxed. Hey.
Oh yeah. So also for many, many years, a basketball half-court existed inside the structure above the coaster near the top of the mountain, where the mountain climbers would play in between their climbs. Now, because internal access to the mountain was locked down for safety reasons, the court was accessible only to the climbers for a very long time. The court was relocated slightly during the installation of the Tinkerbell flying equipment prior to the 50th anniversary celebration, but the hoop and the playing area do remain intact.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
Walt Disney Animation Studios, the Archive series, Walt Disney's 9 Old Men, the Flipbooks. And this is another book with an incredibly long title.
I was going to say, it took an awful long time to say that.
And this one is the 5th book in the Archive series after story, animation, design, and layout and background, which are these gorgeous, gigantic books that they've released over the past couple of years that showcase a lot of the Disney art. and now they've released the smallest books in the world. But we'll get to that in a minute. The whole series, the archive series, is really pretty expensive, and it's very artistically driven. I've reviewed a lot of the other titles in the series at Imaginerding, and I've loved them, but they're really geared more towards the animation and animation as art fan. The idea behind the series was championed by John Lasseter. Hopefully you guys know who he is. He said that he spent hours in the animation research library looking through drawings for inspiration and technique, and he felt like the art needed to be shared with the world. Like, hey, why not?
Well, thanks, John.
Exactly. The book was originally supposed to come out in October, but saw delays. Pete Docter championed the project, and as the title says, this book is a look at Disney's 9 old men, or more like their artwork, not them. The 9 old men.
It's a pinup book of the 9 old men.
It's a pinup flip book. You get to watch the 9 old men walk by. As everybody in the world knows, the 9 old men were some of the studio's greatest and most famous artists from the classic age, usually the 1930s and the 1940s, and lasted well into the 80s. These animators oversaw every animated feature and short and continued the program after Walt Disney's death. Many of the 9 old men are more familiar than others, but they are all amazing, and I'm going to read all 9 of them, so hopefully you won't fall asleep. Les Clark, Eric Larson, Frank Thomas, John Lounsbury, Ward Kimball, Ollie Johnston, Mark Davis, Wolfgang Reitherman, and Milt Kahl, the 9 old men. Each animator has a book dedicated to him in the box set, so there are 9 hardback books and a paperback book. Each book is the same dimension as a CD case, just thicker, and they come in a box that weighs about 25 pounds. And I don't know why it's so heavy. These books are tiny, shouldn't weigh that much. It's heavier on the inside, who knew?
Ooh.
So
You brought it back.
I brought it back. The paperback book has a brief bio about each artist and a tribute from a modern artist like Andreas Deha, Don Hahn, Eric Goldberg, and some others. Each book is about 100 pages and features a key scene from the animator's career, one that most artists and critics really agree spotlights their talent. And they're called flipbooks and feature the animator's drawings because you flip the animation, and you should flip it from the bottom, which is how most Disney animators actually do it. They need a bumper sticker that says, well, we'll work on that later. They really, really are gorgeous works of art. And even slowly flipping back and forth between a few pages, it's fascinating to see how the drawings come to life. And that is the real appeal of the set. It is an expensive book set. It retails for $60, and it's really geared towards the animation fan. If you're a student of animation or a fan or even a collector, then this is a very worthwhile purchase. But as we've seen with many other Disney publications, there's a very limited print run, and we'll see this set probably increase dramatically in value. And I really want to do a shout out to Gary Hall from the WW Kingdom cast, because there are so many photos in this set and very few words. I figured it's perfect for him.
Totally perfect for him.
Totally perfect. But once again, the title is Walt Disney Animation Studios, the Archive Series, Walt Disney's 9 Old Men, the Flipbooks.
Impromptu United Kingdom Pavilion Phone Booth Disney Trivia. Impromptu United Kingdom Pavilion Phone Booth Disney Trivia.
Hello?
Hey, this is Jeff from Communicore Weekly. How are you?
Who?
Jeff from Communicore Weekly. Are you in Epcot right now?
I am in Epcot. Your name is Weekly?
No, my name is Jeff from Communicore Weekly.
Jeff. Yes. Hello.
Hi. Would you like to play Impromptu United Kingdom Pavilion Phone Booth Disney Trivia?
I don't know what that is. Trivia.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We'll ask you trivia questions about Disney since you are in Disney right now, and I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and if you get all 3 questions correct, you'll win a prize. This is not a joke. We're a podcast. This is totally legit. I know this is kind of weird.
Yeah. I can answer some questions.
Okay, so they're going to be 3 questions. It's going to be easy, medium, and hard, and I'll go in that order. So they'll get increasingly difficult as time goes on, but if you get them all right, you get an awesome prize. You okay with that?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, the very first question it's a very easy one. Are you a Disney fan?
Yes, I do like Disney.
Okay, hopefully you'll know this one then. This is easy. What was Walt Disney's wife's name?
Oh, I don't know that one. Wait a minute. Lily.
Yes, correct. Oh, 1 out of 3. Good job. Good job. All right, are you ready for the second question?
Yes.
Okay. Now this one kind of ties into a ride at Epcot right now. Now, have you been over to the Mexico Pavilion?
Yes.
Now, there's a ride in there called the Grand Fiesta Tour starring 3 Caballeros. Have you been on it?
The Donald Duck ride. I have been on that.
Yes, the Donald Duck ride. Now, what was the original name of that ride when it first opened? Before the 3 Caballeros took over, what was the name of that ride?
I do know that one. The River of Time.
Very good. That's the English translation. I'll give you bonus points if you know the Mexican translation.
Oh.
Or Spanish translation. Sorry, that was kind of offensive. If you don't know it, that's fine. You totally got it right anyway.
Okay. No, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. All right, final question. This one's a little hard.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be right there. I don't know. Podcast? Hold on. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to
Go
keep
ahead.
you from your family.
No.
Okay,
Hello?
last question. This one's a little hard, but you might be able to look around you and actually figure it out. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. How many large torches encircle Epcot's World Showcase Lagoon?
Large torches. Oh,
Now,
they had torches during the fireworks show.
yes, exactly those. How many of those are around the lagoon?
Oh, Pete, I don't know. Hold on. Let me look. Hold on.
Sure.
None of them are lit. The fire. Hello.
Yes, we're here.
Yes, Jeffrey. None of the torches are lit. I'll guess 5.
I'm sorry, that's not correct. Oh, you were so close though. The answer was actually 19.
Oh.
You were close though. But you were a very good sport. Thank you so much for playing. When you go home, be sure to look up Communicore Weekly online. You won't be sorry. And maybe you can hear yourself on the podcast now.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
No, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh my God, we finally got one.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a 5-legged goat.
When we were down at Walt Disney World last November, on a research trip,
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
reels, we got a chance to tour some of the resorts. And while wandering around the conference center at the Boardwalk, we happened to notice a nerdy little detail, but probably only because we read a lot.
Yeah, so there are these gigantic paintings of great Americans all over the conference center. And one of them was for the very first Miss America that was crowned on the Boardwalk, Miss Margaret Gorman. However, if you look closely at her sash that says Miss America, it doesn't actually say Miss America because the word America is spelled wrong. I know. It's actually missing the letter E right smack in the middle. The painting has been hanging there for years since that conference center opened, and nobody has apparently ever noticed this before. So next time you're at the Boardwalk, go to the conference center and say hello to Miss America.
Well, thanks so much for watching and listening.
Be sure to leave us a comment and rate us on iTunes.
And you can always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com.
And you can like us on the Facebooks at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
Yep. Follow us on Twitter at ImagineNerding and at Jeff Heimbuck so you can hear lots of snarky comments.
Lots of snark. Always snark.
Snarks. More snark on the Twitter than the Facebook.
More snark than you can shake a stick at. Or something. I don't know why you're shaking sticks at snark. That's weird.
I don't know. That's okay. Well, anyways, I am George.
And I'm Jeff. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
Overkill.